Welcome to the Hollywood Hustle channel, presented by Molly and Lester.
Hello, I'm Molly.
And I'm Lester.
And we're extremely excited to be your hosts on Hollywood Hustle.
In this podcast, we'll be deep diving into Charles Lenhoff's journal, Hollywood Hustle.
This is a part of the journal that gets pretty twisted and downright evil. Lenhoff's editors pushed him to put meat on the bone and provide details on how Anna Dokoza screwed him over, and thus setting the dumpster fire which led to the elimination of TV packaging. When Dokoza came to Lenhoff, she basically was a low-level, non-union associate producer who got by with that charming Aussie accent and had only a few minor B-list contacts in a position to hire her. Essentially, she was a TV series talent wrangler who dealt with the willy-nilly whims of actors that the network, studio, executive producer, line producer, agent, manager, and publicist didn't want to deal with. Enter Dokoza, who had a gift for bullshitting everyone and handled the willy-nilly actors on a day-to-day basis. But Lenhoff saw potential in her. Lenhoff got her into the primetime big tent with the A-listers at NBC, Warner Brothers, Fox, and with her current employers Dick Wolf and Peter Jankowski. After repping Dokoza for several successful years, Lenhoff built up her contacts to over 1,000 A-listers and quintupled her income. He made her into an A-list player constantly in demand. He took her financial quote from making $2,500 a week at Discovery Channel to $12,000 per week at CBS. Lenhoff made her a boatload of money. UTA wanted Dokoza as a client, and she fell for their snake charm. After Dokoza dumped Lenhoff, she accused him of theft, attempted to have his agency license canceled, and DGA franchise revoked. These are profoundly serious allegations with long-term consequences. After 30-plus years of impeccably representing clients, trustfully handling millions of dollars of their money, Lenhoff proudly defend his business, reputation, and honor. Cut to Anna Dokoza's deposition on February 26, 2018, where she finally revealed her lies and misrepresentations she made to her employers at Fox, the California Labor Commission, the Los Angeles Superior Court, and her union, the Director Guild of America, and to her devoted agent, Lenhoff. During the deposition, Dokoza reluctantly admitted she was made whole by both Lenhoff and Fox, and that neither Fox nor Lenhoff owed her any money. Let there be no misunderstanding, Dokoza set the dumpster fire that lit Lenhoff's fuse. She was the catalyst that led him to take legal action, and, in the process, he uncovered the illegal Uber agency's price-fixing scheme, ultimately leading to the demise of TV packaging in Hollywood. Let's get into the deep dive.
Ever heard the saying, success is the best revenge? Well, get ready, because this is a Hollywood story where that idea it gets kind of flipped on its head.
Yeah.
We're going to be diving into the wild ride of Anna Dokoza.
Oh, yeah, I know her.
Producer behind shows like A to Z and Baskets, right? And her former agent in this whole thing, Charles Lenhoff.
This is going to be good.
Oh, yeah. Buckle up. And just to give you a sense of where we're going with this whole thing, our source material this time is an excerpt from a longer piece.
Okay.
And they titled it, dramatically, The Anna Dokoza and Henry Bronchtein Dumpster Fire Smear Campaign.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So right off the bat,
quite a title.
you know this is going to be juicy. So picture this. Dokoza and Lenhoff, classic Hollywood partnership, right? She's got the creative juice flowing. He's got the business savvy. They're a dream team, or so you'd think.
Right.
But then, as Dokoza's career really starts to take off, things go from dream team to, well, total meltdown.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting to me, psychologically speaking. You often hear about these partnerships. You know, one person's success, it casts a shadow, right? So was this a Dokoza intentionally betraying Lenhoff situation, or was she just laser focused on her own ambitions? And I think that's what's so fascinating about this excerpt.
Yep.
It doesn't give us a straight answer,
Right.
but it makes you really question those fine lines.
Especially, I mean, come on, we're talking about Hollywood, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where ambition can be a blood sport.
Absolutely. And, you know, we can't forget the elephant in the room.
Right.
The studio executive in the room, shall we say.
Okay.
Money. This wasn't just a case of, like, you know, hurt feelings. This was Lenhoff truly believing
Yeah.
he was owed significant commissions for the shows that Dokoza landed while they were partners.
Because he'd invested the time, the energy, right?
Yeah.
The connections.
Yeah.
All those things that don't always fit neatly into a contract, right?
Exactly. And that's something I think a lot of people listening can probably relate to.
Oh, totally.
It's that feeling of, I helped to build this thing, I contributed, but I'm not seeing the rewards. And suddenly it's not just business anymore.
Right.
It becomes personal.
Oh, absolutely. It gets very personal.
Very much so.
And that is where, cue the dramatic music, the lawsuits come in.
Oh, boy.
Lenhoff went after what he believed he was owed, specifically for shows like Baskets
Okay.
and Brothers in Atlanta.
Right.
And it wasn't just his former partner he was going up against to make things even more daunting.
Oh, really? Who else?
He was going up against major industry players
Wow.
like UTA and ICM.
Okay, so we're talking, this is like David versus Goliath.
Talk about a story of David versus Goliath.
Wow, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, how can someone like Lenhoff, even with his experience in the industry, how can he even begin to compete with that?
Yeah.
With those kinds of heavy hitters? And it makes you wonder how much power these big agencies, not just in Hollywood, but in any field really,
Yeah.
where there's such a power imbalance.
Sure.
How much power do they actually wield behind the scenes?
Yeah, and that feeling of the system is rigged.
Right.
That's exactly what Lenhoff was banking on, it seems. He wanted to expose that, to make it a public spectacle. Whether that was calculated or came from a place of genuine frustration, I don't know.
It's hard to say.
But it's fascinating though, right?
Yeah.
How this one case just highlights a tension that I think exists in a lot of industries.
Yeah, totally. It's that age-old kind of like who gets to decide, who gets to benefit, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And as this whole David versus Goliath story unfolds, right, the accusations start flying.
Oh, I bet.
Lenhoff side's claiming breach of contract, and they're basically painting Dokoza as this person who, climbed the ladder of success and then just kicked it down,
Right.
to keep everyone else behind her.
It's such a classic tactic though, isn't it?
It is.
To try to gain some leverage by attacking the other person's character.
Oh, for sure.
But I think it also reveals just how deeply Lenhoff felt personally wronged in all of this.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't just business for him. This was like, she was my friend.
Right.
My partner, And she totally stabbed me in the back.
It really makes you think about the psychological toll that all of this must have taken.
Absolutely.
On both of them. I mean, you're talking about Dokoza, Lenhoff. They're operating in this pressure cooker environment.
Hollywood.
Right. I mean, their personal lives, their professional lives, it's all just kind of...
It's all intertwined.
Yeah.
It's all entangled.
Totally.
Yeah.
And how do you even begin to separate those things, When you've got ambition, resentment, maybe even a sense of betrayal all mixed in?
Yeah, and our source material does not shy away from that whole mess.
Oh, really?
They call this whole thing a dumpster fire.
Wow.
Which, honestly, feels kind of accurate.
Yeah, reading through this thing, it's like watching a Greek tragedy.
Right.
But instead of, gods and goddesses.
It's set in, like, the writer's room.
Yeah, it's like set in a Hollywood writer's room.
Off some hit TV show, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And like those classic tragedies, it kind of makes you confront some uncomfortable truths.
Oh, for sure.
About ourselves, about like ambition and...
That's human nature.
Right.
Are we willing to sacrifice loyalty in pursuit of our own ambition?
In the name of ambition, right?
How do we measure those contributions, especially in these creative partnerships?
Yeah.
Where those lines, it can get so blurry, you know what I mean?
It all comes back to that age-old question of the price of success,
It's so true.
And who gets to determine that, right? What that price should be.
Right, and that's what I think is so brilliant about this excerpt. It's not just about Dokoza and Lenhoff.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing those patterns, right? The flaws, the motivations in a system that often rewards, ambition over anything else.
So we're kind of left here with this story, right?
Yeah.
That's both captivating, but also really unsettling.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we've got these two people locked in this battle for their version of justice, right?
Right.
But then it's set against this backdrop
Holly
of this system that just feels like it's
a meat grinder.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. It's like this machine designed to just
chew you up and spit you out.
And I think what's so fascinating to me...
What happens after?
Right. Yeah, what happens after the credits roll?
Does Dokoza ever look back and think, did I make the right choices?
Right.
Do I have any regrets?
Was it worth it? That kind of thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does Lenhoff ever find peace?
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't find the justice he was initially looking for.
Right.
Like, our excerpt really leaves us hanging. As that crucial moment,
It's like they cut to black right before the climax.
The most unsatisfying.
It's frustrating, right?
Native, yeah.
But it's also brilliant because it makes us sit with the discomfort,
Oh, totally.
with the ambiguity of how things actually played out.
And that's real life.
Right.
Real life doesn't tie everything up with a nice little bow.
Never does. It's messy.
Exactly. And I think that's the beauty of taking a deep dive like this,
Yeah.
We're not just interested in the headlines. We want to get into the nuances, the messy stuff.
Yeah.
The complexities that make these stories feel,
Real relatable.
It's almost like we're left, staring into this shattered mirror.
Yeah.
And each shard is reflecting like a different piece of this whole complicated story.
And maybe that's the point. I mean, there are no easy answers here, right?
Yeah.
There's no clear cut, this person's the hero, this person's the villain.
Yeah.
Just two people caught in this whole web of ambition and betrayal and, the machinery of Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you wonder, though, if we pull back from like the specifics of their story.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about the world we live in?
Oh, interesting.
A world where success is often celebrated no matter what the cost.
Right.
And the people who get left behind,
they're just kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, to me, is the big takeaway from this whole thing. It's easy to get caught up in the, the Hollywood drama of it all. But this isn't just some salacious story,
Yeah.
It's reflecting something much deeper, something that resonates way beyond, the writers' rooms and the red carpet.
Right.
It's about all of us, right?
Yeah.
The choices that we make, the values we prioritize, the systems we perpetuate, even if we don't realize we're doing it.
And as we start to, kind of wrap up this whole deep dive,
Okay.
I'm kind of left with this question for you, dear listener. What resonates with you most about all of this?
Is it the human drama? Is it the legal battle? Is it the bigger systemic issues that we've been kind of poking at?
Or maybe, even more importantly, what can we learn from all of this? Like, how do we, pursue our own ambitions and navigate these relationships in a way that feels, authentic and ethical?
Because the truth is, we've all got a little bit of Dokoza in us.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've all got a little bit of Lenhoff in us, right? That drive to succeed, that fear that we're going to be overlooked or left behind. It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot where ambition doesn't become,
Toxic.
Yeah, something that's destructive or hurtful to others.
Yeah, exactly. It's about recognizing those tipping points along the way,
right,
and then making conscious choices about which way we're going to go, Even when things are tough and the pressure's on a moment, easier said than done.
100%. But I think that's the beauty of these deep dives that we do, right?
What's that?
They force us to confront those uncomfortable questions.
Right.
To really look inward and do some self-reflection.
And maybe, just maybe, they help us to create a world where success doesn't have to come at such a,
a steep price.
A steep price, exactly. A world where ambition and integrity can coexist.
Yeah.
Where it's more about collaboration and less about, this cutthroat competition.
It's a nice thought.
It is something to strive for, wouldn't you say?
Definitely something to strive for.
Right.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you find yourself captivated by, one of these stories about ambition and its consequences, right? Remember Dokoza and Lenhoff.
Remember the names.
Right. Remember that the real story is often hidden beneath the surface.
Oh, for sure. In those messy, complicated.
It's in the mess.
Exactly.
Where ambition and our own humanity, they collide.
I like that.
That wraps up this episode. Please check out the author's website at lenhoff.com to access all the research, exhibits, court filings, transcripts, and more. I'm Molly.
And I'm Lester. And we'll see you very soon on the next episode of Hollywood Hustle.